What's up guys, Artem MMA Analysis here. I'm going to be recording this video for the third time. The first time my computer crashed, the second time I finished recording the video, it was about 20 minutes long, and then my OBS recording software crashed, so it never really finished processing the video that I just recorded. Let's get straight into it. UFC Fight Night Luque versus Muhammed 2. Before I get into it, I'm going to say something. I'm going to be doing a fight companion for this card. If there's enough interest, I will be doing a fight companion. It'll be my first fight companion ever. I've got a pretty fancy overlay all set up and stuff. It's got like the live chat on it. It's got like a timer. I mean, it's all pretty fancy. So if you guys want to see it, let me know in the comments. I wasn't really planning on doing live streams until about 3,000 subscribers. But man, I'm going to make an exception for this card because I'm kind of looking forward to it. There's a lot of guys that I don't really know, so I'm looking forward to doing my full card breakdowns later after I've done all of my research and kind of learning about these fighters. And also straight up, and so this is my first time looking at the card with you guys. I have looked it over twice now because of my previous video. So if you're watching this a few days after I've uploaded the video, or you're watching a few days before the fight, then that means that you've probably got the opportunity to watch my full card breakdowns after I've done my full card predictions, if that makes any sense whatsoever, after I've done my research. What I'm trying to say is I've done no research whatsoever for this card. How long was that intro? Over a minute. That's way too long. But moving on, let's get straight into it. Devin Clark versus William Knight. First time these guys are fighting at heavyweight. Obviously William Knight missed weight like terribly in his last one, and Devin Clark, straight up, he's been in the UFC for quite a while. I don't really know why, but I haven't really been paying too much attention to this guy, but I do remember I think he got destroyed in the first round by Ion Cutelaba. Is that a correct memory in my head? I can't really remember too much, but he got submitted by Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith and Ion Cutelaba are not bad losses to have on your record. And the two wins he does have, Alonzo Menifield and Dequan Townsend. William Knight has also beaten Alonzo Menifield, so I guess they've both kind of got a common opponent there, which you could maybe make comparisons to. But William Knight, what a bad weight miss in his last fight. That is terrible, man. He's fighting up at heavyweight now. He's not going to be able to miss any weight anymore, but it's going to be interesting to see what he weighs in at. He's 5'10". And hey man, if he loses this fight, I feel like he should fight Chris Barnett. Or maybe if he wins the fight, he should fight Chris Barnett, because he's 5'9" as a heavyweight. But I feel like the man that's going to be carrying the power up to the heavyweight division is William Knight. And that kind of is why I'm going to be going with William Knight by KO. I feel like the heavyweight division, you do have a lot of power punches, and the guys that do have the power do seem to have a decent amount of success. So I do think that Knight will find a KO on this one here. Jordan Levitt, decent prospect. He's not even 27 years old yet, fighting off the Dana White's Contender Series, and he was unbeaten. He beat Matt Wyman by KO in less than a minute. Came out against Claudio Puelles and did lose a decision, but since then he's bounced back with a submission over Matt Sales, who's a decent fighter, and he's fighting Trey Ogden. Trey Ogden making his UFC debut, 3-fight win streak right now against relatively alright competition. His most notable win, though, I'd say, is JJ Okanovich over at Fury FC. I can't remember. I do believe that this is actually a short notice fight for Trey Ogden. I think it's more like a couple of weeks notice, because I think, yeah, that's right. I don't want to see that. Jordan Levitt was meant to fight Victor Martinez on this date, so that makes sense. Jordan Levitt by submission is my pick. I'm going to be agreeing with the Tapology voters here. I think this ground game's just going to be too good for Trey Ogden. Haley Alateng versus Kevin Cream. I feel like this could be like an underrated fight. Worth noting that the fight's taking place at bantamweight, though. Kevin Cream last weighed in at 145 against Brian Kelleher, and last weighed in, I believe, at 145 against Alex Caceres as well. Now he's making the weight cut all the way down to 135 pounds, and he's 5'11" with a 73-inch reach. If he can make the weight, he's going to have a very decent size advantage over these guys, but he is 35 years old, so he's going to have to make something happen if he wants to make a run to the top 15 or anything like that. Haley Alateng, draw against Gustavo Lopez, I believe that was. Casey Kenny loss, who's just outside the top 15, not too much of a shame in there. Beat Ryan Benoit by split decision. Before that, beat Dinar Bakare. I mean, that win was aging pretty well. It still kind of does age pretty well. Dinar Bakare went like a 3-fight first round KO win streak. I'm picking Alateng by decision. Very kind of concerned about Kevin Cream making the weight, but he's going to have a massive size advantage over Haley Alateng, though, so maybe the pick could change at the weigh-ins. 5'5" versus 5'11", that's a 6-inch height advantage for Cream. We'll see if he can utilize it this weekend. Sam Hughes versus Estella Nunes. Estella Nunes is a weird fighter, man. She is only 29 years old, but she has taken a massive break in between fighting between ONE and UFC. I don't really know why, for exactly. She took about a 3-month break between fighting Ariana Canelossi and fighting Gina Inyong in ONE. you can't really like get too much information off that, man. Like the Ariana Canelossi even fight was she didn't really like show too much. It's kind of like hard to really like get a good read on that. But Ariana Canelossi is a beast, I guess. So we'll see what happens. Sam Hughes though, this is a win or go home for her, no doubt in my mind. Took the fight against Tisha Torres on short notice, but since then has been on a losing streak. Two decent competition. We'll see if she shows up in this one. Not confident whatsoever. I will be picking Estella Nunes here, but Sam Hughes potential live underdog. I really don't know. Sam Hughes could show up, but she might not. Who knows? Lena Landsberg versus Penny Kianzad. I believe this is the first Sweden versus Sweden women's matchup in UFC history. I could be wrong though. And Penny Kianzad, she was on a decent win streak before she ran into Raquel Pennington, who recently just beat Aspen Ladd in a fight, which I mean, like, now that loss doesn't look too bad on her record straight up. She's fighting Lena Landsberg, who hasn't fought for 2 years. Lena Landsberg's going to be 40 years old by the time this fight comes around. Penny Kianzad's 30, more of an up-and-comer. She's still got a decent amount of momentum behind her as well, coming off that win streak over relatively good competition over Betch Kahea, Sajara Eubanks, and Alexis Davis, who isn't in the UFC anymore, worth noting. But hey man, I think Penny Kianzad is definitely good enough to beat Lena Landsberg by a decision. I'm going with the majority of the Tapology voters again here. Oh man, this fight, I love this fight so much. So Martin Boudet is 6'4", and Chris Barnett is 5'9", and Chris Barnett and Martin Boudet are probably going to weigh in around the same weight, around 265 pounds. That is kind of insane. Like, Chris Barnett is 5'9" with a 75-inch reach. Martin Boudet is 6'4" with a 77-inch reach. That is pretty insane. There's only 2-inch reach disadvantage for Chris Barnett. Martin Boudet coming off Dana White's Contender Series. Dana White needs heavyweights, man. And I feel like he signed Martin Boudet to be one of those heavyweight prospects that he needs. And I do believe Martin Boudet is going to show up in this fight, and I do think that he's going to knock out Chris Barnett. He did show up against Ben Rothwell, which is a funny fight, I guess, because the height difference. And then he knocked out John Vellante with a wheel kick, and then, like, bro, like, Chris Barnett, man, he's hilarious to watch. I love him. But, man, like, Martin Boudet, on the other hand, is, I think he's savage enough. He also won his fight with the knee, and if he can knee Lorenzo Hurd in the head, he can knee the 5'9" Chris Barnett in the head. That's kind of all I've really got to say. Okay, so Rafa Garcia is moving up a weight class in this one here. Last fought at 155 against Natan Levy, won by a decision, but he still decided to move up to welterweight. I don't know if this is a permanent move for him, and I don't know if this is just a move for this fight, but he is going to be fighting Jesse Ronson, who got a no contest in his last fight about a year and a half ago. That was his UFC debut, so we'll kind of see how it goes here for him. But Rafa Garcia, 1-2 in the UFC, I believe. Yeah, he is 1-2 in the UFC, went 0-2, but he bounced back against Natan Levy, and now he's moving up a weight class. So it's going to be very interesting to see like the size difference between these two guys. Rafa Garcia more of a lightweight, Jesse Ronson more of a welterweight. It doesn't really seem like Rafa Garcia's had too many problems making the weight. Like, he did weigh in 155. Maybe I should find some articles where he talks about this fight. But I will be picking Garcia. But Ronson, the more natural welterweight, I mean, you could kind of compel me to that side as well. But I'm going to pick Garcia. Dracar Close versus Brandon Jenkins. So Brandon Jenkins made his PFL debut last year. He wanted a full-time job for the PFL CEO. He might not have gotten it, because then he made his UFC debut only about a month later against Zhu Rong, and he did get TKO'd in that fight, and he didn't look amazing, but it was a short-notice opponent. He's fighting Dracar Close here on short notice as well. But Brandon Jenkins, I feel like his only opportunity to win the fight is by knockout. Maybe he could land it though, because Dracar Close hasn't fought for 2 years. His last fight was a loss to Benerio Dariush by KO. But before that, he has been good in competition like Lando Venata, Bobby Green, and Christoph Galgos. So it's a tough one to call, man. Brandon Jenkins is going to have like the reach advantage and the height advantage. But I do just think that there's kind of levels to this, and I do think Dracar Close might be a level above Brandon Jenkins. But don't sleep on Jenkins' KO ability, because Brandon Jenkins can knock out anyone, really. Like, he does have good KO power, but you've really got to, if you're picking Jenkins, you're only relying on that. So I will be picking Close to win his return to the UFC. Pat Sabatini versus Tj Laramie. I'm picking Sabatini by submission in this one. I feel like his ground game's just going to be too good for a guy like Tj Laramie here. He's on a good win streak as well. He beat Tucker Lutz by decision. He submitted Jamal Ayers with a heel hook, where they're both kind of going for like heel hooks. And before that, he was fighting over at Cage Fury FC. Tj Laramie, he won on Dana White's Contender Series by TKO. Came into the UFC and lost to Darrick Minner by submission. Darrick Minner also has a great ground game. I've seen Tj Laramie submitted by a guy with a great ground game. He's fighting another guy with a great ground game. Pat Sabatini, I think he's going to get the job done by submission in this one here. Alright, this is a banger of a fight, man. We've got Andre Fialho versus Miguel Baezo. Andre Fialho, on the feet, like, in fact, you know what, on the feet, he really only does have boxing, and he kind of proved that against Michel Pereira. But his 2021 was crazy. He went 5 wins with 5 KOs to get into the UFC. First knocked out James Vick, former UFC fighter, as you guys probably know. Knocked out Sang Hoon Yu, Lincoln Puig, and Stefan Sikulic, which is a pretty good win to have on your record, man, straight up. But then he fought Michel Pereira on short notice, and I believe he actually looked really good in the first round. I think he won the first round, but after that he gassed out a little bit because of the short notice of the fight. And now he's fighting Miguel Baezo, a guy that's on a losing streak of himself. Before that, though, he did knock out Hector Aldana, he did knock out Mac Brown, he did submit Takashi Sato, so he's definitely a good finishing ability on Miguel Baezo and Andre Fialho's side. Potential fight not going the distance in this one here. You know what? Potential controversial decision, but I'm going to be picking Andre Fialho to win this one. It's a tough one though. My mind could change. Wait for my full card breakdown for this fight, to be honest, guys. Same thing as kind of this fight here. I'm not too confident, but I will be going with Mayra Bueno Silva. I think she's got a little bit more momentum. Both girls kind of had like a weird record. Yinan Wu, like 1-3 in the UFC. Mayra Bueno Silva, like good wins on her record. Like Jillian Robertson took a lot of time off. Then she took off some more time, Mayra Buela, then like a draw, and then like a loss to Manon Fiorot, though she went the distance. So like, hey man, but no, I'm picking Mayra Bueno Silva. I really can't be confident though. I don't really know too much about this fight really, so I'm gonna be going Bueno Silva, but not a lot of confidence. Same sort of thing with this one here, man. Munir Luzez, I believe he's the only signed to the UFC because Dana White's son was like having a birthday party or something like that. And I think one of Dana White's son's friends went up to Dana White and like showed him some highlights of Munir Luzez, and Dana White like obviously liked them and then decided to sign Munir Luzez, and he showed up against Abdul Razak Al Hassan. He put on a decent performance, but then he lost to Wiley Alves by TKO there. And then Elizeu Zaleski, bit of a veteran of the game, been in the UFC for quite a while. He's trading wins and losses right now, and he's 35 years old, but Munir Luzez ain't like too young either. He's 34 as well. But this man, Elizeu Zaleski, has been in the UFC since 2015, where he made his debut against Nicholas Dalby, but he went on an insane win streak until he ran into the leech. It's a tough one to call. I'm going to be picking Zaleski, but I don't really know too much about like either guys. Like, I haven't really been paying too much attention to their career. Munir Luzez could pull off the upset. I do believe Luzez is going to be the underdog, but I'm going to be going with Zaleski to start with. But Luzez could be a live dog, straight up, man. Alright, speaking of live dogs, I think Kaya Barajo is going to be a very live underdog against Gadzhi Omagadzhiev. I will be picking Gadzhi Omagadzhiev to win the fight here, but straight up, Kaya Barajo worked his way into the UFC, and I don't think he's going to be taking it for granted. He last weighed in at 204 pounds because he took a fight on short notice, like a very short notice, at 205 pounds for Dana White's Contender Series against Jesse Murray. And then he got signed off that. But prior to that, he did beat Aaron Jeffrey by decision. Unfortunately, didn't get the contract. Fought 3 weeks later. Beat Jesse Murray at 205 pounds a weight class up. And Dana White gave him the contract, which I can respect. And he beat a 7-0 guy, Waldemar Santos. What I know about Kai Barajo, I think that he was a training partner of Damian Maia at one point. He's got a great ground game. And I believe he did jiu-jitsu with Damian Maia as well. So I can respect that. We know that he's going to bring a good jiu-jitsu game. 75-inch reach as well. 5'10" frame. Gadzhi Omagadzhiev only 67-inch reach with a 6'1". Two guys making the UFC debut. You do not see this often as all. Gadzhi Omagadzhiev submitted Yancey Silva by knee bar. And prior to that, he was fighting over at Guerrilla MMA Series, which I believe is also Eagle FC, or what used to be. So Guerrilla MMA, Guerrilla FC, sorry, was bought out by Eagle FC. I don't know if Guerrilla MMA Series is the same as Eagle FC now, but the point is, he's been fighting for good promotions as well. He's been beating good guys, but he hasn't been like overly like super active in his career. But I think, man, like I think the winner of this fight is probably going to get a jump up in competition straight up. I'm going to be going Omagadzhiev. Barajo's a live underdog, man. Don't be fooled by that one loss in his record, because he's still a good fighter, man. Straight up. Alright, Balaam Muhammed versus Vicente Luque. probably the most exciting fighter at welterweight right now against the least exciting fighter at welterweight right now. And I don't think like I'm really lying to you guys by saying that. I feel like Vicente Luque is just so exciting, man. He hasn't fought for 8 months, but that's probably because I think that he was meant to fight, or like he was thinking that he was going to fight Nate Diaz, because in the Michael Chiesa press conference, which he was in, he mentioned Nate Diaz and how Nate Diaz wanted to fight him and how he wanted to fight Nate Diaz. Something weird like that. They traded a bit of shots like back and forth on Twitter. The fight obviously never happened. We've got this now. Is this like a potential title eliminator? I don't know, but I feel like Vicente Luque has kind of proven himself to be, like, I mean, excuse my like terrible language, but just very good. I mean, he hurt Michael Chiesa on the feet. As you know, sorry, Michael Chiesa didn't look bad on the feet against Vicente Luque, but he got submitted. He submitted Tyron Woodley in like a weird fight that only lasted like less than a round, but both of us were trading shots, and eventually Tyron Woodley did get submitted by Luque. He knocked out Randy Brown, and he TKO'd Nico Price. Balaam Muhammed, though, the decisionator himself, I mean, what more can you expect by a man that I believe has like 17 decision wins or something like that? But yeah, Vicente Luque, I think he's going to get the fight done inside the distance. He knocked out Balaam Muhammed in the past within like 2 minutes. So I don't really see why something like that probably won't happen again. It's probably going to be always in the back of Bilal's mind, knowing that he could get knocked out by this guy because he has been knocked out by him before. Vicente Luque, power in the hands, submission ability on the ground. I think he's just so well rounded, and I feel like we've got like a future like title challenger maybe. Like Vicente Luque versus Khamzat Chimaev would be such a banger fight, but I don't think we're ever going to see it. But yeah, man, like insane experience. He's only 30 years old. I'm trusting Luque, man. I'm gonna get him Luque inside the distance. KO or submission. Trust me. I love Vicente Luque, one of my favorite fighters. So that's my picks, man. Hopefully the video wasn't too long. 16 minutes. I mean, still pretty long, but I'll catch you guys in the next one. Potential fight companion. So let me guys know in the comments.